Welcome to another episode of Mundelein Minute. My name is Eric Schwenk. I'm a trustee in the village of Mundelein.
Trusty Schwank.
Trustee Schwenk, that seems so weird still, 3 years in. Go on. Who are you?
I'm Kara. I'm also a trustee in the Village of Mundelein.
And before we get started, I'm going to get out the whole disclaimer thing now that this is my house and cameras and microphone and lights and all of that nonsense.
There's a cat somewhere.
There's cats around. There's kids upstairs. There's kids in a room behind us playing Legos.
Your wife's upstairs.
Yeah, the wife's upstairs. There's a lot going on this Wednesday morning. And
Sorry we're late recording this.
yeah, and I'm sorry we missed the last one. It was completely me and my crazy schedule.
Not my fault.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Let's get started.
So in this episode, we're going to talk about two things. One, there was a committee of the whole meeting
Oh yeah.
where we talked or heard a presentation and talked about our marketing campaign with A5, and then the village board meeting.
Which is quickie.
It was very fast. It was very fast. So the committee of the whole meeting, it was a presentation. We launched into this in late 2020,
It was born out of COVID.
born out of COVID. We interviewed some companies.
And you and Trustee Russell were the peeps for this, right?
Yep. Yeah,
All
we
right.
kind of spearheaded this on the
I'll
board
I'll
end.
just drink my water and
You drink
you
your
talk
water.
About it.
Okay.
This is your
So,
deal.
It was, in 2020. And so we're a year and a half in. We've been through a couple different iterations of the campaign, somewhat iterations of it, I should say. It's always been made in Mundelein, made for you, and progressed that way. But we've seen some good numbers. We've seen some good responses from the community, from businesses. And now that COVID,
It's winding
please.
down. Don't say it was over.
please winding down,
Knock on all the wood.
the company A5 came to us and said there's an opportunity for growing that outside of Mundelein more and attracting businesses, attracting more people to come to Mundelein and spend money. And there's also, our own people right here.
But also, I think it also goes to, it may have potential effect on attracting businesses.
Yeah.
Because if they see as Mundelein being somewhere that puts time and effort into growing their businesses, it's attractive for a potential business owner.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
But they talked about some potentials that we could do for the next year. We talked about budget numbers.
And so the low end was 85,000. We'd budgeted 100,000 initially, and the middle range was 138, and I forget what the high end was.
178 or something.
But not a
180.
single trustee wanted to go that high.
No. And I'm a marketer. Like, my background's in marketing, and I was still like,
Yeah, right. So we kind of set somewhere in the middle between the low and the mid ground there.
And there were some programs that we thought were beneficial versus other things, which I think that you and Kirsten will probably take the lead again on deciding.
or even staff of
Yeah.
like how that's going to look.
Yeah.
And, we gave the direction and as we do, set that policy in the budget and move forward from there. So hopefully, we'll see a contract here in the next couple of weeks and set that in motion for this next year to see some more growth of that campaign and growth within Mundelein.
Yep. Okay.
So that was
your committee.
was the committee of the whole meeting. So now on to the village board meeting. And we did the normal call to order, attendance, pledge of allegiance. There was 3 different meeting minutes for committee of the whole, a public hearing, and the board of trustees meeting. Went through all those. Public commentary, there was 2. There was a resident who lives on Archer. And we were hearing from, not really hearing, but having a motion for consideration about the Archer Business Center and the property management and possible sale. That was all included in there, although it's not for sale today.
No.
But it was just part of that agreement with CBRE.
Yes.
So she spoke to that as,
Concerned resident wanted to make sure that we
yeah.
were aware of that it is a residential area, and the management company was aware of that, and we do own that property, and the management company would have to run any use through us and that kind of thing. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And yeah, she just asked us to remember the residents.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the second was Tom We Met came back to speak to us about
For the third time in 3 weeks.
to the third time in 3 meetings. Yep.
Yep.
About his vision for downtown is different than that of the board
And
past boards,
and of experts and
of all of our consultants, of the books that
of
I've
any
read.
books that you read on urban planning.
Right.
You know, you spoke up last meeting regarding it, and then I spoke up this meeting about it, just because. Sigh. That's a big sigh. Sorry. He brought up some examples that I was like, these examples highlight your antiquated thought process here. He brought up Hawthorne Mall, that was built in 1973.
Which is being converted to residential.
Correct. 1973. Were you born?
No.
Me neither.
Yeah.
And he brought up.
Big blink.
Could you edit all this out? No.
No.
And he brought out, only you edit yourself.
That's right.
And he also brought up car dealers, which I don't know the future of car dealers, because
Correct.
businesses such as Carvana and car vending machines and things like that, I don't know that car dealerships are a sustainable plan forward. So those were the two type businesses he highlighted in Vernon Hills and in Libertyville. And those aren't the future. No one is building mega malls anymore. That's not a thing. When's the last time you went to the mall?
About a month ago.
Me too. You know why I went? Because my kids needed to run around.
Mine was because I was on an overnight in Minneapolis. And Mall of America was
anything?
across the street, and I bought lunch.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
because I needed some food.
Right.
Really, it was out of food convenience not to go shopping for the day.
right. So the issue I take with this is that the idea of these type of businesses is antiquated, and we need to be forward thinking. And we know that from other areas of the country that by building residential, there will be an influx of consumer good businesses that go around them. Dry
Right.
cleaners, restaurants, coffee shops, mom and pop boutiques. You lived in Texas. We talked about developments in Texas. I know this is in Texas, just making a generalization of how they work there. I have a friend that lives in a suburb of Louisville, and it's definitely like a planned community.
Mm-hmm.
And the first things that went up were the condos.
Right.
And condos go up, and then now there's townhouses, and she lives in a single family. And now they're slowly, after this broke ground, I don't know, 20 years ago, there's now businesses coming in to that area. So all of us also have tried, I've sat with people in the community to talk to them about visions and like how this works and how this all fits together and to answer questions. I have personally reached out to Mr. Wilmette to see if he would like to sit down and talk. Village staff has as well. Other board members have as well. So we're trying to come to a solution that would, like educate him, and it's just not there. So it's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm also going to go out on a limb and say this with my trustee hat on. I am not a fan of people telling us to be more like Vernon Hills or Libertyville or any other community in the area. We as a community should be looking to be our own community. And I envision Mundelein having more of arts, more of the mom and pop stores and not the big box
Like
stores.
unique, just a
more
unique.
of a unique. Yeah, that even was something that we discussed during our strategic planning at the Doubletree. Oh my gosh, almost 2 years ago now.
A long time ago. Yeah.
A year and a half. And we are not the other communities, and nor should we be, and nor should we want to be. So yes, I understand looking to those communities, looking to that sales tax revenue of those big box stores, or
It is enticing. It is.
have you.
But it's also at like,
at what cost?
cost?
Because those communities are paying those big box stores tax incentives and rebates
Oh
for
my
a
gosh.
long time coming. And we'll see in the end what that
Right.
looks like. But they're also dealing with remodeling a mall, and there's a whole bunch of other growth there.
and the money that is going in to redevelop that mall. Holy guacamole.
Right. So
Same with Melody Farms. We've talked about Melody Farms before in the past, and it's $24 million was what was given to Melody Farms as an incentive.
Right.
Let's think about that. $24 million.
Right.
So there's a lot of complexities in development, and it's not just saying we want more businesses, we need more businesses, and then businesses come. There's a how and a strategic move on who these businesses are going to serve and who can walk to them and who can frequent them and that kind of thing. It's not so simple. So
Correct.
I will touch on one other thing and then I'll stop orating. Sorry.
Okay.
He brought up the schools in Mundelein
Mm-hmm.
and how the schools can't handle the influx of students that residential will bring. And I just wanted to touch on that. So when I first ran, this was a concern of mine too. I have 2 little kids. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. They're going to go to Mundelein schools at some point. This concerns me too until I became more knowledgeable and saw that the village works cohesively hand in hand with each school district on every development, and developments pay impact fees, and an impact fee is just what it sounds like. How much will these developments impact a school? I think Trustee Wilson touched on this, that Cardinal Square buildings, there's 3 students in that entire complex.
Right.
And this type of development that we're looking to do downtown is not going to have 3 kids per unit. They are young couples starting out without kids. Maybe they're older people that are retiring that are downsizing. I mean, these are people that are either empty nesters or starting out. They're not us with our families.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
End rant.
End rant. That was the end of public commentary. And Kara's commentary. So next was presentations and awards, and we had a very brief presentation for the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System presentation.
How bummed are you?
I was extremely disappointed that the gentleman that was going to do the presentation was sick and unable to make it. So we had a very, very shortened version of what was supposed to come to us for the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System presentation.
You just like saying that whole
I
word.
do.
I feel like it's an acronym.
It does need an acronym. But how great was it to see
Adam's face when you said that?
It was pretty awesome. Yeah. So moving on from the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System presentation was public hearings, and there were none. On to the mayor's report. We had
I think I'm off camera, by the way.
I think you keep sliding it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, where's my water bottle? Eric's got pizza socks on.
I do have pizza socks on.
Okay.
So the committee of the whole. We will have a committee of the whole on the 14th.
Is that next week? That's next board meeting.
The next board meeting. Yeah.
What is with all these committee of the wholes, man?
This is a committee of the whole for committee presentations. This is a committee
needed.
committee.
This is
yes,
needed.
and this I think
this is
was
as a result of our feedback.
Yes. Born out of the statute discussion.
Correct. This will be good.
The board needs to know
updates.
what you're working on.
That's right.
Next, we appointed trustees Cabachuela and Ross to the Butterfield Road project negotiation team. And then, let's see, we did some easement agreements down at Diamond Lake.
This is the Shoreline Stabilization project, and the goal is to...
We've been talking about this for 3 years now. Yep.
This is another one of mine.
Protecting our investment of the land that we own. And
Pet
now...
peeves. Finally coming to fruition. But this just goes to show you how slow these things happen. And it's not because Mundelein's the worst and they do things slow, but they need to get approved in meetings and we need to take it out for bid. And there's a process that needs to be followed. And I think you and I talked about this right when we got elected 3 years ago, and now it's finally happening. So
right. So what we're doing here is extending some of the shoreline stabilization.
You got.
Man, I got the other about the discharge stuff out pretty well, but shoreline stabilization, we're extending it in front of Bill's Pizza, or rather behind Bill's Pizza along the shoreline there. So it's a cohesive look along that.
Also,
that
so it
shoreline.
Protects fully.
Correct.
Right. So you're easing erosion fears, and it's going to help flooding and things like that. So.
Yep.
Yes, it does make sense to continue it down there.
It does.
Yeah.
And then the next two were items regarding CBRE listing the Archer Business Center for leasing. we also agreed to it for sale, but there isn't a plan
There's
to list
not a
it for
plan
sale
for sale,
today.
yeah.
But that's part of that agreement.
If it ever were to
And
come
then
to
we
that.
also,
And this is just a switch in management company.
yeah, we're
basically.
switching management
Yeah,
company, so there was a management agreement there. Trustee reports. Let's see, under community and economic development, we had an ordinance for rear yard setback variations for some homes being built on Shady Lane and Pleasure Drive. So it's
Yeah.
kind of an interesting how they're getting rid of one home and building three out
Right,
of
but it-
the land.
Yeah, but it was like set back weird, and the house was placed like kind of in the middle of the
The house was
property, or,
placed,
like,
but it was allowed because all of the properties were owned by one
person. Yeah.
owner. But now, if they're going to build other homes on there, then they have to re-subdivide it, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of it's a step.
But what this will do though is you have a house that's in kind of like disrepair down there,
Yeah.
and this will
Now they're going to have 3 new homes.
right
Yeah.
make it nicer.
Right. And it'll be nicer homes and kind of fit the look of the neighborhood
Right.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had 2 SB Friedman proposals that we approved, and these are having our what am I looking for?
I don't know where you're going.
Our
on.
consultant.
There you go.
Thank you.
I don't know what word you were looking for.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The consultant for some of the TIF agreements
TIF
and
agreements, yeah,
financial
financial
assistance.
agreements, yeah.
And yeah, so this is having that company look over some of the proposals, and these costs are reimbursed by the developer. They
Yes.
already have been.
And this isn't this. You have to do this. Like you have to have a third party. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. So-
Yeah. Next was Public Works Committee, and there was nothing there. Finance Committee was next, and we
Now's your time to orate.
we
it.
presented the 9-month financial report, and revenues are trending far better than expected, and expenses are as expected. So we are looking to end the fiscal year not only with a surplus, but more of a surplus than we budgeted for, which is awesome. This will be our 2nd year in a row. And that money goes into reserves. As we're looking now, we should have our reserves back to 42% by the end of the
Right.
year, which was down to 35% of the operating budget. And our goal is 50%. And we also enacted the utility tax, which we talked about in the past. And that utility tax hasn't started yet. That starts, it starts this year. Started in January.
Right.
But we haven't seen that money going into the reserves yet. I doubt.
No.
So we should see that increase even more in the coming months and then the next fiscal year for sure.
Yeah.
So we're getting to that goal. And
setting
then
up for success.
correct.
Right.
And then, once we hit that 50%, all of the money from the utility tax goes to the Road and Bridge Fund.
Right.
Which is much needed.
Much needed.
Yeah.
And underfunded.
Underfunded for sure. Yes. Next was the governing body bill approval, and we actually took a moment to note that this is the lowest amount that we think we'd have ever seen at $224,789.19. So that was 2 weeks worth of expenses at $224,000, which is
I don't know what
very
went
low.
on, but it's really low.
Yeah.
It's the end of the fiscal year.
It is. Yeah, we'll definitely be increasing that come May, I can tell you,
Right.
because
Contracts get
the
renewed.
contracts get renewed. Yep. So nothing under public safety, building committee,
Wait.
transport. Oh, yeah, you had the go. You public safety, go.
Hey,
Sorry.
don't forget about the boy. Like
Well, there's nothing listed, and I didn't have my one that I wrote my notes on.
Coffee with a Cop was
Coffee with a Cop.
They had their first one last Friday.
They're
Yeah.
hiring your son.
Theo is now going to be. Deputy Chief Seeley asked my son what he wanted to be when he grew up, and Theo said an astronaut, but also a police officer. And I was like, okay, random. So now he's going with the astronaut police officer. So when Mundelein needs a space force,
Oh.
there's our first hire. It's fine. Anyways,
Yeah.
Coffee with a Cop was really, really well attended. I think it served the purpose that it was intended to, just being out in the community. This was the highlight of my week. Frank Thomas walked in.
Yes.
Do you know who Frank Thomas is?
No.
Are you kidding me?
I just said yes just to make it flow for you to.
I quit.
Yep.
How did... Neither did Trusty Cabachuela. What is wrong with you people?
Sorry.
I'm not even a Sox fan and I know who that is. Russ, this is why we got married, right? Frank Thomas. The Big Hurt? No, nothing.
Not
Holy
lately.
guacamole. Anyways, he lives in Ivanhoe.
Oh.
You're not excited. Okay, that's all I've got. Oh, God.
I don't have my note, but do you remember when the next Coffee with a Cop is?
The 18th.
The 18th at like 7 to 9 in the morning at Mundelein McDonald's
Yes, on
on
45.
Lake Street. Yep.
Yeah.
On 45.
Sorry, I'm joking.
That's
on
okay.
my,
Don't
because
die. Because
I'm so ashamed that you don't know who Frank Thomas is. Can we just have people who watch this and then you know who Frank Thomas is? Please email us. There's our email. Can you put it in?
yes. Okay. So next, there was nothing for building committee, transportation or infrastructure, no other reports. Under omnibus, we passed a variation for Bark University, which we've talked about, and also the cycling race agreement for this year's Mundelein Cycling Grand Prix, which is July 25th.
Yeah.
Yep. So I know
That was
I'm glad
literally
we're-
the funnest day of summer. Most fun?
I'm glad we're.
Funnest? I don't know.
Yep.
Best.
Mm-hmm.
So fun.
I'm glad we're doing this again.
Me too.
And that was it. There was no other reports, no executive session.
Home by
We
7:40.
We were done pretty quick.
So
Yeah.
okay, so we'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yep. And that's all we got.
That's all we got.
Have a great day.
See you later.
We'll see you soon. Bye.